Hey guys, it is April from Getting Huggy With It. Today we are going to dive into books that are set at Christmas time. I love to read Christmassy books leading up to Christmas. Like, I'll even start in November. I have no shame. I will totally do that. Some of them are very old and some of them are actually brand new and are just recently released. So let's dive into it. So the first book I want to talk to you about is Little Women. I read Little Women for the first time in November, and this is such a magical read to read at Christmas time. It's really, really nice. It starts out, I believe, on Christmas Day with the March family. Their father has gone to war. He's in the Civil War and they are left behind. And they don't have a ton of money, but they make do. It starts out with all of the girls in the family realizing, you know, we don't have a lot of money this year. We're not going to be asking for Christmas gifts from Marmee, our mother. So instead, why don't we use the money that we've got out of either their allowance or some of them have jobs and get her a gift. And it's such a heartwarming story. I don't know if you've ever seen the actual movie of Little Women. This really narrows in on their childhood, so it's so heartwarming. I loved this book. It's a perfect Christmassy read. Next up is Last Christmas in Paris, a novel of World War I by Hazel Gaynor and Heather Webb. And this is a World War I historical fiction, and it just came out, I think it was in September, and I'm actually reading it right now. I'm nearly at the end, so by the time this video goes up, I'll probably be done. I am really enjoying this book. It's really sad and heartfelt, and we follow Evie, who lives in England during World War I, and her brother and her brother's best friend go to the front and they are fighting the Germans. Much of this novel, like the bulk of this novel, is told in letters back and forth. She writes to her brother and also her brother's friend Thomas, and she and Thomas start corresponding more and more, and they strike up this really close friendship. Meanwhile, Evie also has a female friend who decides to join the war effort as a nurse, and she's writing to Alice as well. And so it's all of these letters back and forth. That said, Evie keeps dreaming about a Christmas in Paris when all of her friends and family can be together again. And will it or won't it? You have to read it to find out. The next book is Mr. Dickens and His Carol by Samantha Silva. Now, this is about Charles Dickens and his Christmas Carol. Charles Dickens, at this time, is a renowned author. He's very beloved in England, and yet his latest novel is kind of a flop, if we're being honest. And he's starting to feel the pressure, and his publishers are after him to write a Christmas novel so that he'll be able to bring in money quickly. And yet he just really is not feeling very Christmassy. His wife and his children, they're planning this insane elaborate Christmas party, and he's just like, that's not where I'm at. He's really worried that law enforcement is going to call in his debts, and the banks are gonna start coming after him. And so he starts walking around London, and in London he meets Eleanor Lovejoy and he meets her son Timothy, and that meeting sparks A Christmas Carol. It just sounds really lovely. If you haven't read A Christmas Carol yet, start there. I read that actually on my way back from my honeymoon. It's very short and it was so wonderful. I really loved that. I would love to reread that. So this is just a nice kind of other take on A Christmas Carol. The next book I want to talk to you about is Come Thou Tortoise by Jessica Grant. Now, I've talked about this book on my channel before, and that's because I love it. It's the strangest book. It is the strangest book I think I own. This is about Audrey Flowers, and she lives in Oregon with her tortoise named Winifred. She gets a call that her father has been sent into a coma. He was hit in the head by a Christmas tree, and he's sent into a coma, and she needs to get back home to see him. She's very afraid of flying, and yet she does it for him. And she is, she's IQ challenged. She's wonderfully different. You cannot read this and not fall in love with Audrey. It's about her journey home and what happens when she gets home. And she rushes to her father's bedside. It is one of my favorite books of all time. I love it. And the last book I wanted to mention is Hiddensee, A Tale of the Once and Future Nutcracker by Gregory Maguire. Now, Gregory Maguire is very well known for having written Wicked, and so he always takes these very popular stories and kind of flips them on their head. So in this case, he's taking the Nutcracker and flipping its story on its head. So it reimagines how the Nutcracker came into the hands of Clara, and then it also looks into the background and the backstory of Godfather Uncle Drosselmeyer. And I personally love that storyline. I don't know if you've watched my Christmas home tour, but there's so much Nutcracker stuff. I'm quite obsessed. So yeah, that's another one that I am planning on reading probably next year because I've got so many other ones on the go right now. But yes, those are my books set at Christmas that I think you would really enjoy reading about this time of year. So tomorrow we will be back here talking about what is new in thrillers. I'll see you then. Bye!